going, everyone? Welcome back, crew. We are diving into another amazing sonnet. And this, trust me, I often say, hey, I love this one. This one's great. We're doing something totally different with just a amazing, just so excited to do a Derek Walcott poem. Late 20th century, early 21st, Nobel Prize winner. Brilliant, beautiful way with words, and we'll see exactly why. First, some background on this poem. We're going to be looking with Derek Walcott over his shoulder at this Rembrandt that I have up here for you to see. We're going to see Rembrandt has put his son Titus, at least that's Walcott's theory here. He's put his son Titus on the horse, and according to Walcott, this horse is going to remind him of Don Quixote's horse, Rocinante. And it's also going to remind him of some other art by a printmaker, Dürer, who basically has the kind of riding the horse death theme going on in his own work, or death rides a horse type of thing. So all that's going to be kind of in the mix with Walcott's poem. So he's playing on a lot of different levels. A lot of levels, and probably levels that I can't even grasp and find. It would take a dissertation to dig everything out. We only have a few minutes here, so let's dig right in with the Polish rider. Oh my gosh, you guys are just in for it. It's just such a treat. Polish rider. The gray horse, death, in profile bears the young Titus to dark woods by the dying coal of day. The father, with worn vision, portrays the sunlight, Dürer's night, astride a Rocinante. The horse disturbs more than the youth delights us. The warrior turns his sure gaze for a second. Assurance looks its father in the eye. The inherited bony hack heads accurately towards the symbolic forests that have beckoned such knights, squired by the scyther, were to lie. But skill dispassionately praises the rider. Despair details the gray, cadaverous steed. The immortal image holds its murderer in a clear gaze for the next age to read. Wow. Just tremendous, so dense and complicated here. As you guys know, I'm going to be looking at that octave sestet structure, the first 8 lines being the octave, the second 6 being the sestet. I'm going to look at that volta, which happens, the pivot between those two, how that's achieved, how Derek Walcott manages that kind of turn to the eternal. We open in these first 4 lines, the first 4 lines of the octave, with this kind of jumble, this mess of different horses, one seeming to overlay another. The horse in the picture that his son Titus is riding, that we can see. A horse death, that perhaps is indicated, Walcott finds it indicated by the bony legs maybe, or the kind of hollow, skull-like face of the horse. And then it echoes to him then to another horse, Dürer's horse, this Dürer's knight astride a Rocinante, which connects us to Don Quixote. And the origin that many feel is the origin of the modern novel with Cervantes inventing this lush world of interiority and fantasy. The Walcott's keen on looking at that and connecting to that, which is kind of a surprising thing. Rembrandt is not Spanish. Dürer is not Spanish, but here we make this leap to this Spanish novel. So that's kind of interesting. And then the second part of the octave, the horse disturbs more than the youth delights us. So Derek Walcott kind of serves us on a platter this little kind of neat summary of his opinion, of his take, kind of a little bit of just an hors d'oeuvre here of just, okay, here's the deal, guys. It all comes down to it's kind of fucked up looking, the horse, but the youth is kind of amazingly rendered, really delightful. And then we got a little bit of a beginning of a pivot where the warrior turns his sure gaze for a second, but it's a happy pivot here. Assurance looks its father in the eye. The inherited bony hack heads accurately. Now that inherited bony hack, first, like, inherited, is that Rembrandt's son inherits something from dad? But no, it's a different inheritance, because the bony hack is the head of the Rosinante. The hack refers to the stubborn comic relief horse that Cervantes gives Don Quixote, his hero. And I guess it's his horse is kind of has a mind of its own for Cervantes. But here it comes to represent death. It comes to represent a quest into something dark and evil, perhaps. So where is this heading? Well, that's where the pivot is. The pivot's right after the bony hack heads accurately. Pivot. We know it's a pivot because we get this towards. The towards here is a trochee. It's an inversion. We see that in sonnet after sonnet after sonnet. We've seen a trochee beginning the sestet. Toward the symbolic forests that have beckoned such knights squired by the side there where to lie. So where do they lie? Well, they lie in hell. So they lie in the underworld, just as Virgil guided Dante into the Inferno. That's where the symbolic force is going to lead, as it does in Dante's masterpiece, where he becomes lost and confused and then goes to hell. And that symbolic force calls back to the dying coal of day, to the dark woods in the first, in the second line in the octave. But it's reevaluating now. Now, instead of just observing and describing, Derek Walcott has made the pivot. Walcott has made the volta into contemplation, into speculation, into deep, deep insight that the sonnet tradition can offer us. More insight, but still dispassionately praises the writer. So the father is proud of the son, but despair details the gray, cadaverous steed. So it's as if Rembrandt knows there's something dark and dangerous about his art and about the Western tradition in general. The immortal image holds its murderer. Now we get the indictment from Walcott. A very severe criticism he offers. And who's the murderer? Is the horse the murderer? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't think that Walcott is saying that the horse is a murderer, because the horse is not making these decisions exactly. Who is the murderer? Are we, by our desires, our looking, our gazing, our wanting? Or is it the son who will become a murderer, that Rembrandt in some ways knows what becomes of adventurous warrior youths? And Walcott speaking too obliquely of his own Caribbean experiences, of the brutality and cruelty of colonialization, of the Spanish and other colonial forces who went all around the world. A white man on a horse is perhaps not a positive image to Walcott and many people, perhaps anywhere. It's a terrifying idea. It's one of death incarnate, of the end of innocence and the end of traditional ways and of a connected society into one of subjugation or violence. There's a lot of different ways to read this poem. I don't think I've exhausted them, but I think maybe I've given you some openings and some avenues to explore on your own. I just want to highlight the lush language, how beautiful the language is in this poem. Dying Coal of Day, just stunningly beautiful. Cadaverous, what a word choice. What a bold word choice, and the kind of the hard C opening, the polysyllables, goes right into that steed, cadaverous steed. So many places in this poem. Assurance looks its father in the eye. It's just such a point blank. It's so brutal. So many moments in this poem of skillful, artful, understated language. Look at the tonal manipulation, the kind of subtle change in tone and register he accomplishes when he says, that have beckoned such knights, squired by the scyther where to lie. He's invoking so much richness and complexity of the English language tradition there. It's just showing his effortless mastery of clauses, of enjambment, of these S sounds, such knights, squired by the scyther. It's hushing us, whispering to us these secrets of the tradition. Such an honor, such a privilege to be able to look at the Nobel laureate's work here with you. Thanks for joining me. And please do subscribe so we can explore future poems together, which would be such a pleasure for me. And as always, if you have ideas and suggestions, I'm very, very welcome to those. All right. Thanks again, and take care until next time.